Morning. I've been writing things down. I got a whole raft of things to talk about. I got like a month worth of videos on that page. The thing I want to talk about this morning, though, is Edom converting to the Jews. In the Maccabees, when we read the Maccabees, this is just where I'm going to start off. Yeah, I wanted to start somewhere else in my head. Anyway, when we read the Maccabees, we discover that I believe it's Jonathan, which is the grandson of the original. He takes over the land of Edom. He actually spreads the borders of Israel huge. He takes over all the surrounding lands, and when he takes over Edom, he tells them either you got to move or convert, circumcise, and live under the laws and become Jews. And in the Bible, it says a few of them moved, but from that day forward, they became no different than Jews. That's what it says in the book. And and then in the Bible, it says Edom will be the ruler to the end of the earth, the end of times, and then Jacob will pick up afterwards. And we haven't reached the ends yet, right? So we're still in the time of Edom, right? And the curse is that if Jacob is under God, then Edom will be a servant to Jacob. And if Jacob's not under God, he will be a slave to Edom. And do you think mankind are treated as a whole? Are we treated more like slaves, where we work way too many hours for little pay? Or are we treated more like servants who feel gratified and happy with our leader, you know? So in the countries within America, within North America, and a couple of countries here and there is an upper middle class who would say, oh no, I think we're all right. But it's like, when you look around the world, the percentage of the world is really under slavery. Like, let's say 70%, probably. If you think that 1% holds a huge percent of the wealth, and then you got like your celebrity wealthness, right? So that's probably like, with the 1%, they'd be like 5, maybe less. And with the business tycoons and millionaires and stuff like that, you might be pushing 8. And then your middle class people are probably maybe 10 or 15% of the world or something, right? So you're 65% is kind of like below the poverty line. That's slaves, right? And not really happy, going to wars all the time and dying, and getting fines, people getting arrested for trying to live certain ways and stuff. Not allowed to gather water in certain states and shit like that. Like, it's pretty fucking brutal, really. We have free energy and stuff like that. We've made it over and over again, but it's kept from us. the same time. It just... Anyway. So we're still under Edom. So Edom still exists. And real power doesn't show itself. That's one of the rules of power. When you read about power, like, that's one of the big things. The bigger power stays in the back and sends out disposable people to do its will. And if somebody needs to fall, it's these people out here, and they don't matter. They can fall, and the real power is still protected back here. Right? So, anyway, so the evidence is that Edomites still exist somewhere on earth. And then when you read the Maccabees, you discover that they became Jews. They were forcibly converted. And at that point, from that point, the Judaism had sections. It was sectioned off. Sounds like I'm saying sex. So they, so you had like your different, there was actually 3 different types of beliefs of Jews, right? And they argue about more and more and more stuff and get further and further apart. But today, we can easily pick them out, right? You know who Edom is. Look around, right? You know which Jew is Edom. The other big evidence that we have is that they say that Jesus had skin like bronze and hair like wool, right? So curly, woolly hair and dark skin, right? So now, if I've talked about how we all came from one source. We all came from Adam, right? And then we came from 8 people getting off of a boat. Right? There's 6,000 stories, different legends from 6,000 different tribes all over Earth about 8 people getting off of a boat after a flood, starting all of mankind. And they're all variations. They're all slightly different, but they're all the same, right? Like, that happened. And then all the evidence that I've talked about in other videos, geology. Gotcha, right? That's all I'm saying about it. So we need, as a people, to start just saying, you're not a Jew, you're an Edomite. It's not mean or racist or whatever, it's just the truth. And start to grasp this properly, right? And when you meet an African American, or whatever the hell political correct stupid term you're supposed to call them, if they're not actually Africans, moved here from America recently, still have an accent, you'd call that guy an African American. But the rest of them are Hebrews. You call them fucking Hebrews. There's nothing else to call them. Why would you pick out colors and all that other shit? Now, I'm converted into their Hebrewism, obviously, where I'm just wearing the wrong color, but I'm not an Edomite Jew. I might be in blood a little bit, but I mean I'm more spiritually, I'm Hebrew. And anyways, but that's what you call them, and that's what you call, actually, I've gotten into how the lost 10 tribes are, when they were pushed out in the diaspora, they were, we followed them through the diaspora in history right across Northern Europe, and they kept getting like pushed out of places. Every time they'd settle, they'd get pushed out, and that's what diaspora is. That's the definition. And they just pushed their way through, and then they became, well, they would have gotten to Asia, right? And they probably took wives and whatever. Why wouldn't you? And slaves and stuff like that, because wars happened back then. And then there was a trail that connected, and this is the globe science too. Like they openly admit that it's there, that connected Europe to America, so they could actually walk here, right? And we see the walking trail, and it's under 20 meters of the ocean or something like that, or 15 meters of the ocean, whatever it is. It's not much, and I think it's far less than that, 20 feet, something. It was really small amount of water. So if you filled in Grand Canyon, and if you filled in the edge of Quebec, where Quebec meets New Brunswick, you'd fill in these two massive lakes that would have taken enough water from the ocean to or drop that levels down far enough in order to make that walking trail possible. So I would assume that the Asians were probably walking across there. They're way before that. They, fishing, hunting, whatever, and then you'd be in Alaska, so it'd be fucking cold, but walk down the beaches, and I'm sure some of them